My name's Anna, and today I'm going to tell you the story about when I converted. To me, Anna, your parents have had a car accident. I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just something minor, you know, like a little accident on the road, and they just had to stop and get things sorted out, because she said to me not to worry and that everything was going to be okay. Bear in mind, I was quite young. Went back to sleep. I think about 2 hours later, I had 2 policemen show up at my house. They came in and they asked me if I was okay. I said yeah. They just said to me if I had someone to look after me. And at this time, the neighbour I could count on the most was obviously my mother-in-law and the guy who's now my husband. So I said yeah, I have help and I have someone to look after me. So I ended up going to my mother-in-law and asking her if it was okay for me to stay, and she watched me the whole night. I had college the next morning, but I was told that I couldn't go because I had to go collect my youngest sister from hospital. So the next morning I woke up and I asked Abdul to come with me that day, and we went off to the hospital, and I was still feeling quite okay about the whole situation. I honestly did not think much of it. I was so young and living such a normal life, if you can say that, that I just went on with my day. So I went to make my way to the hospital with Abdul. I think this is the moment where I realised that things weren't going to be the same. So I got to the hospital. The first thing when I walk into the hospital and into the room is I see my youngest sister on the hospital bed with bruises and scratches on her face and body. And at that moment I started crying so much, because I suddenly realised that whatever happened was very serious. The nurse took me to the side straight away and she says, don't worry, your sister's fine, she's gonna be okay, she's just got a few minor bruises and cuts, but she's okay to go home with you today. And I said okay. Another one of my aunties was there, my dad's sister was there, and obviously because I wasn't old enough I couldn't be a guardian for my sister at that time, so my auntie ended up taking her home. So while I was at that hospital, the nurse said to me if I wanted to see my dad. Bear in mind, my youngest sister and my dad were both in the same hospital, but my middle sister and my mum were in 2 different hospitals, and I only came to find that out a little while after. So I said to the nurse yes, I wanted to go see my dad. So they took me downstairs, and they didn't take me to a room, but they took me to where an operating theatre was, and that's how bad things were. So I enter that room straight away. They give me time to myself, and my dad is there, and he's laying on a bed with an oxygen mask on, and he's covered with a white cloth, and I'm still crying. And at this point I'm crying even more because of seeing my dad in the state that he's in. My dad is struggling to take off his oxygen mask just to speak to me, and the first thing he says is, "Where is your mum? Where's your sisters?" And obviously I didn't know where my mum or my middle sister was, so all I could say to him is that I don't know, but they're okay. My youngest sister Joanna, she's upstairs and she's fine, she's coming home with me today. He's crying and crying, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what else to do. The doctor that was there was, you know, telling me that he needs to try and keep his mask on. And when I had asked if he's going to be okay, the doctor was a bit hesitant to tell me, but he told me anyway, and he said my dad had fractured a couple ribs, he burst his bladder, and he had really severe bruising. It was really hard to see that. So I went home. 3 days went past. I didn't speak to anyone. All I wanted to do was hear from my mum and check up on my middle sister, but I had no information. I didn't know where they were, and I didn't know what to do. So after a couple of days of not going to college, I finally went in, and most of the teachers had known about what's happened because a couple of family members had called them on my behalf. As soon as I went into school a couple of days later, everyone, as soon as they saw me, just burst out into tears and, you know, gave me hugs, even the teachers, and honestly it was much needed at that time. I'd never forget it till this day, the amount of love and support that the school and my friends and the teachers gave me. I even have a big card still that they all signed for me, and you know, it's amazing, honestly. And I think that it was a really important part of me dealing with what had happened. So anyway, let's cut to 3 weeks later. My dad is at home with me, and my youngest sister is back at home. My dad's very quiet. He didn't speak to me at all. I had a couple family members fly down from Portugal. So 3 weeks down the line, they told me my mum was coming home. And honestly, I could not have been happier to hear that at that moment. As soon as my mother walks in those doors, I give her the biggest hug. For me, as I give her that hug, she is in pain. She's saying ow. She's like, you know, in so much pain, and I can see it in her face, so I suddenly let go. I was wondering, you know, if she was okay. My mum, she had a couple broken bones on her face. She fractured her spine. Me giving that hug was hurting her back, and I didn't know that at the time. I tried to ask my mum, how's Teresa, and you know, I just wanted to know if everyone's okay, and my mum was just like, she's fine, she's gonna be okay. I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I was just so happy to hear that everyone was still alive, everyone was still okay, and I'm gonna have my family back to normal soon. After doing my GCSEs, after applying for college, my mother asks me if I wanted to go see my sister in hospital. Bear in mind, I hadn't spoken to anyone about my sister. No one had told me how she was. I was just assuming that she was okay. So I said to my mum, yes, take me to go see her. I want to go see her. So one day she took me and we went to Great Ormond Street Hospital. Before walking in those doors, I remember my mum stopped me and she said to me, Anna, whatever you do, when you walk in and when you see your sister, please don't cry because she can hear you. So I said okay, and I said I'd be strong. And so she walked me in. Laying in the bed was my sister. She was in a coma and she was on life support machine. So she wasn't breathing on her own. She had tubes to help her breathe. She had a broken leg, so she had big metal pipes going through her leg. She also suffered a lot of brain damage, so she had a massive scar going down from her head all the way to the side, so her hair was shaved off. I remember that day so clearly, but I also remembered what my mum said to me. I just went up next to my sister I sat down, I held her hand, I just started talking to her as if it was just a normal day. And honestly, it was so hard to keep all of that in, but I did it because my mum told me my sister could hear me and I didn't want her to hear me cry. So yeah, on that day I went back home and I just tried to get through everything as best as I could. It was a big shock for me, but I just went on with life, and from that moment my perspective of life and the way I thought about a lot of things changed. So this was close to summertime and my mother didn't want me or my younger sister to be around and to see the difficulty that they were in. So my mum, she sent us off to Portugal. We were there for 2 months. I didn't want to go, but I was young and obviously I didn't have a choice. So we went, we had a good time, you know, got our mind off things a bit. I kept, you know, trying to get an update all the time on my sister, but all I knew was that she was still in the coma. The doctors kept saying to my mum, my sister's not going to wake up, or even if she does, she's going to remain in a vegetable state basically, and she won't be able to move or speak or do anything, which I think for a mother to hear is quite traumatic. But my mum didn't give up, and neither did any of us, to be honest. When I came back from Portugal, first thing I wanted to go do after seeing everyone was to go see my sister. So I told my mum to take me. She took me. When we got to the hospital, she'd been transferred to a different unit. As soon as I saw her, she was awake, her eyes were open. I sat down next to her and she lifted herself up and held my hand. And honestly, this was just the best feeling in the world for her, just to even hold my hand for a little bit. And she couldn't yet speak, but I could tell in her eyes, and it was just honestly just such an amazing time for me, and it honestly just made everything so much better, just to see her progress from what the doctors were saying to what she was doing. And honestly, it made me so happy. Yeah, she couldn't walk, she couldn't speak, but just knowing that she was alive and she was breathing by herself and she wasn't on life support anymore meant the world to me. So after this time, I think I became closer to religion in general. I wasn't Muslim yet, but I became closer to religion and I was praying more. I'm not talking about Islamic prayer. I was still a Christian, so I was trying to pray a normal Christian way, and I asked for God for so many things, and I thanked him for the way my sister was. It led me on that path of trying to be a better person just for my family. So a couple months went past and I started college, and in college I had a circle of friends, mostly I'd say 90% Muslim. Hanging around these people every day started to teach me a lot, and they started to give me, you know, small talks about the religion. It intrigued me. I bought books, started reading. I attended mosque talks with a couple friends, and honestly it was just so nice to hear certain things about the way of life, and you know, alhamdulillah, saying, you know, thanks to God every day. And just these little things brought me closer bit by bit to Islam. If I remember clearly, it was a few days before Ramadan that I said to my friends, I want to fast this Ramadan. They said to me, Anna, why don't you convert so that you can gain the reward for fasting this year? And at that point I just said to myself, yeah, I'm 100% sure about it, so I want to do it. I still remember the day that I went to the mosque with 3 of my close friends at that time. I took my shahada. That day I just felt special. I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt special, and the support and love that I got that day was amazing. To the people who went with me to take my shahada, you know who you are, and I've never forgotten till this day, so please remember that I'm still very thankful for you taking me and for you guiding me to that path. And I was very strict about it, and you know, I had a lot of my friends who were giving me hugs that day and telling me, you know, your slate is clean and Allah's gonna love you and, you know, try your best and everything. And that Ramadan, I loved it. I put so much effort into it, and it was my first Ramadan ever, and I put so much effort into it, and I fasted the whole month. It was my first time. I was working, and I absolutely loved it. I think till this day I still get a lot of people that say to me, oh, did you convert for your husband, da da da, because technically back then he was my boyfriend. But no, I did not convert for him, and at the time I did convert, he wasn't even in the country, and I didn't even tell him until he got back, which was a real shock for him, by the way, so maybe I can get his input on that. My parents, they didn't say much because I didn't actually tell them, and the reason I didn't was because I thought they had gone through so much already that I didn't want this to be a problem for them. So I hid it for a long time, which wasn't a great thing to do, but it's how some people deal with it, and that's how I dealt with it. So my parents actually thought I was going through a phase. That was okay for me. I kind of just let them think that for a little while, but up to this day my parents accept it and they're happy with me, and I keep having to remind them that I'm still the same person as I was back in the day, and they're happy with it. Now, I do have some family members that don't talk to me anymore because of it, but that's okay for me. For me, the most important thing were my parents, because to me that's all that matters. So yeah, I mean, to cut that long story short, the reason I converted was because of what I went through, and I thought it opened up my eyes so much as to life and being thankful for everything that Allah provides us with, and it's honestly changed my life for the best. And yeah, I'm still the same person that I was before, but just follow a different religion, and that's okay. And honestly, with that came so many other things. My sister started speaking and started walking, and looking at her now, she's 20 years old and mashallah, she's in college. She's not the same person that she was before, and I'm gonna admit that. She has the mind of a 10-year-old, and I'm still thankful that she's alive at the end of the day. And the religion has given me so much, and I remember as soon as I did tell Abdul that I converted, he became so different, and I think he was just in utter shock about it. I kind of set him on a right path, and maybe he thought, wow, she's actually converted to Islam and I need to do better for myself. And soon after that we got married, we had kids, and honestly, alhamdulillah, we have to be thankful for what we have. And this is the thing I love about this religion, and there's so many other things, but I would honestly make this video boring if I was to talk about everything. I wanted to give you my insight and my story on what motivated me to convert to Islam, what opened my eyes, and it was this religion, which I love. I want to say once again, thank you for everyone who back in high school and college days helped me go through that, spoke to me about this religion. To those who were there, present when I did my shahada, I still remember who you are, and thank you. So yeah, let's end this video here. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you put your post notifications on so that you're alerted next time I post. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and press the like button. Follow my socials, I'm gonna put them down below, and tell me what you thought. Comment down below, tell me what you thought of my story. I honestly hope I didn't bore you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.